case you missed it, today marks Read Aloud Day, and it's a global effort which is actually celebrated in over 173 countries to try and encourage literacy by reading aloud specifically to children. Now, author, educator and speaker Daniella Djan is on a mission to promote reading as a fun and fulfilling activity for everyone. In fact, with 2 children's books under her name. She also joins us now via our video link to, unpack the meaning of, reading aloud. And Daniella, it's great to have you on the program. I read aloud for a living. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily go well. But perhaps I'm not at the center of what we're talking about today. Help us understand at least why reading aloud as a communication tool becomes so important.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. Reading aloud is so important because it's supposed to be a culture, supposed to add value to people's lives, and it allows people, it opens their minds, it gives people perspectives, it deepens the understanding of the world, it makes people creative, and it really opens up the imagination. And particularly for children, research has found that 5% of parents, a mere 5% of parents read to their children. And it's a huge problem, and because it's so important that kids are engaged in reading, because it inspires them, it makes them active, it makes them ambitious, and it has great benefits.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of our time reading in our heads as adults, but as an educational specialist yourself, are you able to speak to us perhaps about the cognitive advantages of reading aloud, not just for children, but perhaps even for adults as well?
It is important. It's very important because the sound of your voice, it's instead of reading in your head, it makes understanding better when you read out loud, and it also cognitively it improves your understanding of what you're actually reading. So it's really encouraged.
Yeah. It's difficult to speak about reading in any context in South Africa without, lamenting the poor rates of comprehensive reading that exists in our country. How do initiatives like this potentially solve that issue? Not just reading, but encouraging specifically reading out loud, and I imagine reading in community.
Yeah, it's very important because, according to a 2016 Progress in International Reading Literacy study, it found that 8 out of every 10 South African children cannot read properly, not in English, not in their home language, and not in any language. And, only 14% of South Africans identify themselves as active readers. And it's a huge problem. So initiatives like this just really want to promote the love and culture of reading, but also to allow people to see the value of reading. I think a lot of people don't really see the value of it, therefore they don't read, or they don't encourage their children to read. And initiatives like this open people's minds to say, look, reading does so many things to build communities, to build nations, to eradicate poverty, to make people ambitious, and to let them, pursue the goals that they have, to inspire them to do that. Reading just also, increases empathy amongst kids. It builds the bond between parents and their children. It improves mental health as well, which is a very important aspect nowadays, a problem that we're also facing. And just their self-confidence and self-awareness is also built and developed through reading and literacy.
Yeah. From your experience, do you find that there are books that are better suited for reading aloud than others? I've always, perhaps it's because I take myself way too seriously, but I've always struggled with reading aloud books that have different characters, for instance, because you need to embody that, right? At least if the people listening are to enjoy it.
Absolutely. And I think, with parents especially, they sometimes feel like clowns when they, expressive, and they're trying to read and to be expressive and to be engaging with their kids. But it's incredibly important because kids learn through play, they learn through imagination, and they learn through just being animated. So even though, you feel like a fool or an idiot, it's very important to embody those characters that you read, and just to use your voice, use your face, use your hands, use different pitches in your voice, that sort of thing, just to add color to your reading and to make it colorful and bright, because that's what kids remember.
Absolutely. I guess, really important aspect about this is that this kind of initiative can also go a long way in breaking down really complex social issues for children to understand. I mean, we have heard many a times where just through storytelling you're able to break down such complex subject matter like perhaps race, religion, etc.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, stories and books and just reading to children, because of the structure that children's books have, they always have some sort of, the beginning, and then there's a problem that they need to face, and then there's a solution. And, reading, but in the form of a story and in the form of an entertaining way. And so when you read to the kids and when you engage with them and ask them questions, they learn how to creatively problem solve, and it helps them with their life problems, with real problems, even stories about animals or, things that are not that are not alive or real. There's always a problem that needs to be solved. And so when you engage with the kids during, while you're reading the books and after the book, you can be able to break down those issues and help them understand and how to actually face those challenges, become resilient and become problem solvers in their own personal issues.
Children who have, dare I say, the privilege of having someone read aloud to them are very lucky, especially when you consider just how fundamental a building block this is to so many aspects of their lives. Daniella, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us about this issue. Really do appreciate it. Daniella Djan is an author, also an education specialist, joining us on this World Read Aloud Day.